Duh.
Yeah.
It's recording red light.
You were on the record then.
We were on the record. I'm gonna talk about the lunch.
Free
Okay,
everybody.
I would like to call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Infrastructure Taskforce Advisory Committee, Monday, March the 3rd. It's just 2:01 PM. Could we call the roll, please, Vicky? Is that the first thing? Yes.
Mr. Angeli,
Here.
Barnett,
Here.
Mr. Grabsky, Mr. Labrie,
Here.
Mr. Lamberts,
Here.
Ms. Ratchko,
Here.
Mr. Walters,
Here.
Ms. Way, here, Mr. Zeltman,
Here.
and Vice Chair Party.
Here. So we have a new member. That's Lindsay Way. Perhaps you'd just like to very briefly introduce yourself.
Born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale, a realtor in town, investor. Heavily invested in the neighborhood I live in, Turpin River. And just looking to help make a change and work with you all. Definitely on the infrastructure
Good.
in the city.
On behalf of everybody here, welcome.
Thank you.
You have a big paycheck to look forward to. so-
Wonderful.
What hospital were you born in?
Holy Cross.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm an OG.
Oh, look at
We're
you.
gonna do good.
Oh,
Which room?
yes.
Which year?
Good idea. So perhaps
Too much
we should
information.
introduce ourselves. So Greg, do you want to start?
Greg Barnett, Victoria Park.
Jerry Angeli, at large, right? What did it call
You're at
it?
large.
Consensus.
Mayor
Consensus.
assigned, mayor appointed to you.
Roosevelt Walter, District 3 Commissioner Beasley.
I'm Peter Punnington. I'm mayor's selection, if you like.
Rob Zeltman, District 1. Imperial Point.
Hi, I'm Jim Labrie. I live in Poinsettia Heights, which was part of District 2, and that's when I was assigned by Commissioner Glassman, but we're now part of District 1, the neighborhoods. I live in District.
Hi, I'm Marta, District 4, Ben Sorensen, and I live in the River Oaks.
Mike Lambrex, mayor's appointment and Victoria Park.
Omar Castellan, work for the city.
Nice to meet you.
So the next item is the approval of the agenda. Before we do that, I have a question, probably for Roosevelt. I would like at some point to have a motion of this group go onto the record expressing our appreciation for all the work that Marilyn did for this group. So do I need to?
You put it down in members.
I can bring that up there
On the members. Comment.
and just go and bring it up there. Okay. All right. So the next item is the approval of the agenda.
Chair.
Yep.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Now, the first item of old business.
No.
Approval of minutes.
Approval of minutes, approval of the meeting minutes from February the 3rd, 2025. Any changes, additions?
Chair. I approve that the minutes be approved with or without correction.
Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Must be a first.
Good thing.
Toughest part of this job.
So now,
Now Peter make a change.
Yeah.
it says old business, so the first item is the election of a new chair, vice chair. Chair first. The floor is open for nominations.
Chair. I nominate Peter Parker to be the chair.
Need a second for that?
Hey, you got it.
Seconded by Ralph. Any further nominations?
Accept.
Are you accepting your nomination, Pete?
I accept that nomination, yes.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Start the vote.
So all those in favour of that, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Now, I'll move in a moment to the prime position. Now we need vice chair to replace me. So it's open for nominations.
I would like to nominate Marta as vice chair.
Second. Do you accept, Marta?
I do accept. If that's the wish of the group, then I will be honored.
We'll find out when we vote.
So all those in favour of Marta?
Does she accept? I didn't hear. her
Yeah.
accept.
I do accept.
Okay.
All those in favour of Marta becoming vice chair, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed?
So now I'm gonna.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Excuse me.
No, okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Thank
move
you.
up here, so you come around here, or I'll.
Yeah, you put. Yeah.
Well, I'm moving. I should
Sorry,
tell you.
Okay, I got plenty of room over here now.
Since the beginning of this meeting.
Come on down, Mike.
Oh, is that
The other side of the table.
Back to
I'm
your
going
regular-
to the other side of the table.
Made the extra room.
Come on, man. I thought we were cool.
That's okay.
So while I'm settling down, I should tell you that there was a famous British admiral that fought in the Battle of Trafalgar. He was blind in one eye, and the signal came in for him to retreat. And he put his telescope to his good eye, and he said, "I see no signal." So he kept fighting. So I have to tell you that I'm slightly deaf in my left ear. So everybody on the left-hand side, excuse me if I don't hear you that well. Having said that, then we move on.
Good for you guys.
Walk louder.
The one on the right side.
The next item of business is City Hall update. Who's going to do that?
That would be me. Hi, my name is Angela Salmon and I don't know where you want me to stand. So
That's fine.
should I sit here? Okay,
Sit.
I'll do that. Thank you all for having me here today. I have just a brief update on the city hall, where we're at today. The city put out a bid on the street for an owner's representative. That bid has closed. It closed in early January and the committee reviewed the bids and has shortlisted 3 firms to be the city's owner's representative. So the committee is going to meet with those 3 firms on March 10th. The firms are gonna do a presentation, a Q&A with the evaluation committee. And that'll take place on March 10th, and then we'll get updates after that. As far as the design criteria package, city staff are working to draft that design criteria package to put it out on the market. But there's no anticipated date, probably within the next few months or so. That's about then. And I'm here for any questions that you might have.
City,
Greg,
sorry, the city representative quotes, are they fairly close
So
pricing or are they a big range?
no clue. The evaluation committee is getting those bids and they're reviewing all of the firms and they'll be able to ask those type of questions.
I think that the way we do it in engineering is that we interview the shortlisted, and once the candidate gets selected, then the negotiations about price come after that.
Oh, okay.
That's the way we do it. I don't know if that's the way you guys doing it, but
We will
It-
wait and see.
yeah, it's probably the same. Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you. So the owner representative, are you soliciting for the consultant with the engineering background? Is that correct, or it's?
In the bid, what I can do is I can provide you all the specific paragraph in the bid that shows what type of qualifications the city was seeking whenever we were looking for an owner's representative. But I believe engineering was one of those qualifications.
Okay. Very good. And you said that there would be the presentation that the shortlisted firm, the 3 best ones, right? So they would have to present. Is that gonna be in a public format that we will be able to see this presentation, or that would be just to the selection committee?
On March 10th, whenever they do the firms do the presentations to that evaluation committee, for the first, I think it's like a 3-hour session. I think it like starts early on in the day, ends at 4. That is with those evaluation committee members and the firms only. That is not a public meeting, but starting at 4:25 PM in this room on March 10th, the evaluation committee will potentially discuss the bids that they reviewed, and then public can come at 4:25 PM in this room on March 10th.
It's March 10th.
Yep,
So, can you just clarify that? So after they've been interviewed, with the evaluation committee, then the evaluation committee will
have a
bring
discussion.
in anybody from the public that wants to be there, or the public will be there during the.
The public, so the firm, whenever they do their presentation and the Q&A with the evaluation committee, that's closed off for the evaluation committee and the firms. And then at 4:25 PM, the evaluation committee is going to come in here and probably, I don't know if it's like a discussion between the evaluation committee. The firms will not be here. It's a discussion between the evaluation committee, and it's at 4:25 PM, and the public can come in to listen to the evaluation committee. I don't know what the rules are for how the public interacts with that, but I can find that out and I can send that to Vicky.
Jim?
Thank you.
Could you tell us who the evaluation committee is?
Do you like tell the evaluation committee members while the evaluation is happening, or does that come out after?
Usually after, but I mean, I don't know the rules that you're following.
Yeah, okay, well, let me do this. Same thing. I'll go back and ask to make sure I'm not breaking any rules, and then I can get that information. If I'm allowed to share it, I'll give it to Vicky to share with the group. Is that okay, Vicky? Okay.
And how would we receive that information?
How would they receive that, Vicky?
I'll forward information to you guys via email.
Okay.
So, Vicky, if, we would like to know the room when it's open to the public, that public notification about the committee on the March 10th. It would be good to know which room exactly they're meeting. It's this room, right?
It's this room.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
After 4:20, so
After 4:25 PM. But I will get those specifics, and it sounds like I'm gonna email it to Vicky. I'm gonna get the specifics on March 10th. And I'll figure out about the evaluation committee members, if I can share that or not, and if I can, I'll give that to Vicky to share as well.
And the scope of the RFQ itself.
And the scope of the qualifying, got it, I can do that, 3 things.
But when Marta said RFQ, I'm thinking RFP, same thing, right?
no, it's not.
It's different.
So is there, let me ask that question then. Is there an RFP now that one can see?
Yes, it is, you can see it, it's online, and I can send a link for that as well. That is,
So these companies are responding to this RFP,
yes,
right?
Yep.
So we can already read the RFP that
Mhm.
the companies are responding to.
yes.
Peter, but the RFQ is for the owner's rep. And the RFP is for the actual construction of the city hall.
Oh, so,
That's not,
these firms are not responding to the RFP,
They're responding for the owner's representative.
Which is an RFQ.
yes. And is there a scope for that?
Yeah, they need to show that they qualified,
Yes,
so.
but it just says things like, shall have this, that, and the other, right? It doesn't
Yes,
say,
we have the engineer on a staff, architect on a staff, attorney on a staff. So they have to kind of collect the resumes and show the qualifications that they have to be owner representative. So the city would sit and see, there's no financial yet.
Right.
Like they said, there's no they don't know how much it's gonna cost us. Right now, we're just gonna know RFQ, who is the best qualified, that's why it's called RFQ, request for
Yeah.
qualifications. Which one is the best qualified firm to represent the city on our behalf for this project that it's advertised under RFP for design build, and I believe the RFP for the design build is kind of like a lump sum, so we can tell design and construct this for $200 million, and I'm just throwing this out, I don't
So
know
the-
what's the budget.
The owner's basically, yes, the owner's representative is gonna help guide us through that process, and then the design criteria package will really get us to some of that hard stuff you're talking
Correct, like the
about.
budget and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
So the owner you just answered my question, so they not only guide us you know, through this process, but they also gonna be together with the city staff during the design itself. So it's very important that they have an architect, they have an engineer on the staff, and because they're gonna be kind of telling the firm and participate in the actual design, you know, to build a 5-story or 15-story or, you know, kind of the space. So that's the owner representation.
Yeah, they're gonna really guide us through that process. Like you said, I'm sure they have consultants like they can reach out to or sub-consultants. And then I personally, when you start getting into the details of a DCP, that's not my realm. So, but if you have specific questions, we'll get you the answers.
So, so the RFP is for the owner's rep, but then there's also an RFP for the design criteria.
The
Is that
the
done yet?
RFQ is for the owner's rep. The
RFQ.
RFQ for qualification. The RFP is for the design of the,
Has that been,
that's
that's
not
not done yet,
no.
okay.
That's not done.
So who is participating in developing the design criteria package?
Right now, we're in the very beginning stages and it was
When
gonna.
you say we, is
Oh,
that
we.
staff?
Right, and that's a great question. Totally, and that's the things that we're doing. We're going, it is city staff, but we're gonna get input from the city staff who are experts in these design criteria packages. We're also reviewing design criteria packages that other municipalities have. It's going to be a effort of all, not done in a silo, but we haven't even gotten there yet because we haven't fully drafted it to share it and to get feedback. But yes, we will, does that answer your question?
It does, but I have another one. Is there a
Yeah.
timeline for that to be completed?
Anticipate it within the coming months. It's not going to be long. It's definitely a process, writing it out. And we can, again, give Vicky updates to provide you all, or if we need to come back and let you know the latest, we can do that. But I'm anticipating before the summer.
Is the site an open question still?
Is it site?
The site.
Oh,
the
location? During the city commission's prioritization meeting, they provided feedback on the site, and it was the existing site. And I can, again, I'll go back to that video and look, but they provided consensus on the existing site.
So that's been determined. That's an input given. Okay.
Makes sense.
Was that?
That's my question.
Anybody else? Any further questions? So how long, the timeline to bring the, RFQ firm on board, consultant on board, is about how long?
I know, like off your experiences.
It's probably gonna be a couple of months after they've been selected. And because procurement has to do the negotiation with them financially, hourly rate, all that stuff, and the scope of work. So I will guess it's a couple of months until it has to go to commission to be
Right.
approved too. So I would say 2-3 months
Greg?
timeframe.
I was thinking 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days is a good guess.
Well, I think it would be nice to be kept in the loop on this. So perhaps, you know, you could come back. I'm trying to figure out how many months would be appropriate. It always seems to be longer rather than quicker, but maybe 4 or 5 months from now, come back and give us an
Whatever you
update.
guys work, I'm here.
Okay, we can talk about it. Mike?
Do you think the committee sees value in having the owner's rep when hired come in and speak with us? I don't know if that's something that we need to ask for or something that's appropriate, but, you know, I think that being how integral that piece is to the whole project, I think it would be nice if we're willing and planning on being involved in this to make sure that the work that we've done to this point translates over to the owner's rep, right? So I don't know, again, how we would proceed with that, but that would be nice, I think.
See, I'm conscious that we shouldn't overstep our remit. And we have an item to discuss, you know, what the function of this group is going forward. So maybe that is something to be brought up there. We did have the task which we completed, taking public input and providing the commission a report. And I'm a bit loath to kind of run with something that might appear to be a critique of something that might be happening.
But I just want to ask Mike, we're not asking to be part of the decision, we're just asking for a presentation. Is that what you're saying?
More or less, just like I said, just to make sure that the work that we've done and the information that was collected and so on and so forth, what was delivered to the commission can translate over to, you know, essentially make sure that it can translate over to them. If, I'm sure it would be helpful for them in one way or another, but certainly not to intervene.
Yeah, so we don't know I haven't seen the RFQ. So I don't know if the things that we spent all that time on
Right.
got into it.
Right.
And we don't know, you know, maybe the city commission just said, hey, okay, nice, thank you, and tossed it. We don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
So I would like to think that it got included in some form. And I'd like to hear what whoever gets selected, I don't want to be part of the selection, but whoever gets selected, unless we're asked to, that they know, they heard about it, they were aware. That's what I would like. So I agree with what Mike is saying.
Just like to go over the process. So the process is for the owner's representative, we're issuing an RFQ. Right, and then they're gonna come and speak to this group on the March 10th. From that, there'll be a single or representative firm that we're gonna select to say, hey, this is the firm we're gonna negotiate with for an RFP, right? And then once they're on board.
Oh, you said, sorry, you mean RFQ? You mean?
Well, the first is an RFQ, right?
Right, yeah.
And then we're gonna say, okay, you're our lead candidate or our lead owner's representative. And then we're gonna negotiate with them on a price for their services,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
Whether you call it an RFP or negotiate.
yeah.
That's part
The
of the
contract
RFQ.
piece, yeah,
Contract, okay.
yeah.
And then once they're on board, they're gonna start working with the purchasing group and with the city to start creating an RFP package.
Well, they're gonna help on the DCP because it's gonna be a design build, right? So they're gonna start working on the DCP with the city, and with the city probably gonna create the DCP. The DCP is gonna go out for bid as an RFP.
DCP?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a design criteria package, yeah.
So the input we gathered from all those meetings, we need to provide that into the DCP.
Correct.
And as far as the owner's representative, whenever we drafted it and put it together, there was mention of the input from ITF and from the ULI group. And we have it on our website, and we require the owner's representative to collect that information so it can be part of their process.
Okay.
So I would still like to leave it that at some point when we ask, we will get an update. For too much longer, some months. And if possible, when we get that update, if they're on board, bring along the owner's rep that's been selected.
Okay.
In making that request, you will presumably run it up the chain of command and make sure there's nothing contrary we shouldn't be doing there. So maybe we could leave it like that. Everybody all right with that? Any further questions on City Hall? Okay, if not, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. See you again fairly soon anyway. Hopefully. So now we come to ongoing discussion of the ITF. You all remember we were discussing last time. And I'd like to just start this discussion by reminding people, I read in the minutes, something that Marilyn said, get things started. Chair Mamano proposed the following communication to the City Commission. While we appreciate the continuation of the infrastructure task force for one more year, it has given us an opportunity to discuss the future role of the task force. So therefore, we request a meeting with you regarding the long-term future mission and composition of the task force. So this was Marilyn had attempting to formulate start of a communication to the city commission about the future of this group. And for Lindsay's benefit, we have been renewed, correct me anybody if I'm wrong, for another year. The commission gave us, because we kind of are serving on a 2-year or a 1-year basis, and we've been authorized for another year. However, there are 4 members. Oh, Marilyn, yes, there's 3 members now that are term limited out. So under the current arrangement, who else? Ralph and Roosevelt could not serve anymore, and there was some concern at the last meeting that we were would be losing institutional knowledge. So the idea of going to the commission is to discuss how the commission sees their role, because after all, we all serve at the commissioners or the city commission's wish. So Marilyn, from what I remember, was going to go away and draft something, kind of add on to this paragraph that I just read, which incidentally, I think is page 3 of last meeting's minutes. I'm a little concerned still, similar to what I said earlier, that we don't attempt to say to the commission, we must be to come up with some kind of overall grandiose statement, which, you know, I think is beyond our remit. So I would suggest, and well, I'm putting this out for discussion, that we kind of start with Marilyn's preamble in any communication that goes to the commission, but we list the sorts of things we have been doing and are doing rather than what we might wish to do. So, having said all that, does anybody have any views on that?
Also,
No.
page 4, now in minutes, we have the last paragraph when the chair Romano stated again, the part is important for some community members to require infrastructure. But the last sentence it says that it was determined that there would be further discussion of the possible establishment of the infrastructure advisory board at the March meeting.
That's here now. And the reason for
So seems like we would be the proposal from the previous chair was to change the task force to the well-established board that would function just like any other board in the city.
that's true. The way I remember it, though, was a bit more along the lines of, we feel like we need to be renewed for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
The most we've ever had at a time is 2 years. And one way that you achieve that is to become a board. But I'm not sure, again, it's for us to discuss, but it's for us to suggest that we should become a board. Because we had a limited, it's called a task force, because we had a limited task. I think there are still many individual tasks that we need to do, but is it up to us to suggest that we become a board? Because the board goes on in perpetuity until the commission decides to end it.
Mr. Chair, when we compare what could be and what is what we are talking about when you try to compare the task force to a board. And I don't know how many of you were at the meeting last month when they elected the city manager, but during that meeting, I found very little interest from the commission to establish that board. In fact, I find them to have very little interest in the fact that four of us was leaving at the same time. It seemed to me, they said, what the hell? You know, they leave, we put more people on. And that's not exactly, I mean, it can be done, but is it wise to do? And whether, if we don't ask to go from the task force to a board, then I don't know who will, because I don't think it's gonna come from anybody on the commission.
How did that subject come up at this was the interview for the city managers?
No, it was at the meeting where they selected the city manager and they introduced her and all that stuff. I think that was 2 meetings ago. I'm not sure. I think it was the meeting in February. And it came up when they was asked, when it was brought up that fact that four people would leave in the infrastructure task force group at one time. And Commissioner Herbst, I believe, was the first one to comment on it. And he really wanted to know, so what? That's what I took from his response. And no one said, well, the concern is, and because there was no one who took that place, and I wasn't gonna stand up.
No, that wasn't the format for it anyway.
No, and so it was more than myself was there, so I didn't want to, you know, I'm not afraid of anything in the world except the damn sunshine law. I'm afraid of the sunshine law because they can use it in so many nasty ways. But let's go around the table and see what everybody else.
Martha was,
James was first.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
So,
Good to see you that side.
No, it's that side I don't need.
Commissioner Herbst, my commissioner, has publicly stated he thinks there's too many boards and committees. So he would like to see a smaller government. So that, what he said, I wasn't at that meeting and I haven't seen it on YouTube or whatever. So I don't know exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But that's his mindset, and so that's who he is, and he's probably not alone. There may be others who think there's too many. I don't know. I think we could build a business case. Remember, we just make recommendations, correct, to the mayor and city commission. So our recommendation to move from a committee to an advisory board because of this, and you know, we've done this in the past, we believe this can carry forward into the future. Whatever we have the business case, and I know I tried to get that across the last time we met, that we have to come with something. We can't just say, we think we should be a board. What do you think?
Yeah.
We
Great.
have to come with something.
And just to follow what James just said, I agree with what you just said, but the fact that we're giving them argument that 3 board members gonna leave, that's not the argument we should even say it.
No.
That should be erased from our brains, the institutional knowledge we know. Yes, we appreciate, we can give you appreciation diploma or award, but I also sit on the board, Parks and Recreation, and I said to the group that last meeting that, and I see the turnover as well, that even when we become the board, you still have the same structure. You can serve only that 6 years, and there would be a time when you have to leave the board. So the fact that, you know, we can't keep those in perpetuity, that's, you know, here, those members. But that's the argument that when we're giving that list, and I agree with James, that we can bring the recommendation, but we have to provide strong arguments while we're thinking about the ongoing issue and for a long term for the city, not for individuals, because there would be a time when we all need to be replaced. And We have to erase that argument, right?
James?
With all due respect.
So,
No, I,
Thank you.
sorry, and I agree with that, Marta, and I was, when I was reading the notes from the last meeting, I was kind of surprised that Maryland State, she felt it was important for some of the committee members to remain in perpetuity in order to preserve institutional memory. Absolutely no. I disagree with that completely. Not knocking
Yep.
anybody's knowledge or experience that are sitting at these tables, but we have to evolve, we have to keep moving forward.
Mhm.
There are other people who are smart and intelligent and engineers and whatever
Yeah.
in the community that can move into these roles over time.
Yeah.
To lose three all at once would hurt, there's no
Yeah.
question about that. But I think if we stagger, we don't have to present that either, we just have to make that somehow part of the go forward group, that you
Yeah.
stagger these positions, 5, 4, 3, whatever that is.
So are we all basically agreeing there is really no need to mention or make any kind of play of the fact that 3 people currently on this board are term limited out at the end of the year? Any communication with this commission need not necessarily bring that up at all. Well,
I think it's the commission's decision, not ours. I mean, we have to go along with whatever they decide and what their rules
yeah,
and regs
but
are.
if we don't bring it up, that and you're having a discussion more generalized, you know, they won't remember 3 people are term limited out. But I'm in agreement with James also that fresh blood is a good idea, so not make a big play of that most. As well,
just for the new member, I know you lost. If Mr. Chair, if you can somewhat update her the best you can on what we are talking about,
yes,
because
Thank you.
so I'll have a go and originally we were appointed with like a mission statement, like 2 paragraphs or something. And after a couple of years or 3 years, we did a report with 3 or 4 recommendations, most of which were acted upon. And then after that, it all became a little less clear cut. We were authorized, if you like, to carry on a sort of a 2 year by 2 year basis, but with less clear tasks. And really, for the last 18 months or 2 years, we've kind of been finding our own way to subjects. Having said that, there are things that we do that make me in agreement, I think, with most other people, that there is a function for this group to carry on. And what I wrote down before I left was the things we have been doing is monitoring the consent orders. Now, the consent orders are something placed on us by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, things we have to do, the state. And these are things that we have to do because they are concerned about some things that might have happened within the city. It's not unusual for cities to be under consent orders, but I would prefer that we weren't, because why do we have to have somebody over our shoulder to make us do the right thing? So we have 2 or 3 even now legal documents requiring us to accomplish certain things. And we have staff fairly frequently update us on the progress of those, and those are ongoing. So there's, to my mind, there's a very worthwhile task to continue with that, because we could provide an early warning system if something's badly going off track. We monitor the sewage and water breaks, which have been a big issue. Fortunately, those have been diminishing a lot. I've also been following bond fund expenditures, because a lot of this work, capital work, is funded by bonds. So that seems to me to be worthwhile, because we have a sense as to whether are being exceeded, or there's a red light, on the horizon, something like that. We preview public presentations that the staff make. We're often shown those before they go out with those presentations, and we ask questions of them. And we also, then the City Hall is the prime example, we provide a forum for people to come and give input on important city projects. Probably other things as well, but
The water treatment.
and the water treatment plant, yes. So that's a bit of background, but it's also, in my mind, a way that we could approach a meeting with the city commission by telling them what we have been doing, what we think is necessary for us to continue on with.
How often do you guys meet with commission?
Irregularly, we probably only met with them 2 times over the last 4 years.
How often do they ask for the reports?
They've done by and large.
So they think this is pointless? Is that kind of
No,
what
I
you're?
wouldn't say pointless. They, when there's a topic, they're not,
They
like
read or
the city
no?
hall, the city hall was a good one. Get out there and find out what, calibrate us to calibrate the commission to what the people in the community are saying.
Great.
I actually reached out to my commission, and then I said, hey, we're going through some changes. Are we on track? Are we doing what you want? I didn't get past his assistant, but the response is yes, that, your commissioner reads your meeting notes, is well aware of what you guys as a group are doing, and you in particular are doing. So please do what you're doing.
That's Commissioner Glassman.
Yes. So
And Commissioner Beasley.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I think we're getting that feedback, but you're right, we're not getting their FaceTime. But we're asking for it.
But having said that, not that many boards do get much
I don't think so, yeah.
FaceTime with the city commission. So again, that's not unusual. And there are a lot of boards as well.
But I think our strongest argument is that there will be the next infrastructure emergency. It's not if, it's when. And that they should have a standing advisory group they can reach to that we can actually put in the work for them when it happens.
I hope you're not right, but there's certainly some truth in what you're saying. And that makes the argument that we need to continue monitoring things, particularly like sewage breaks. I mean, if we start to see an increased pattern of sewage breaks or overflows from the sewage treatment plants and things like that, then that becomes concerning, and we can relay that. Ralph?
Yeah, I think that is currently, has been, and still is the emergent situation since I've been on this board for about 8+ years or whatever, is the failing vitrified clay sanitary sewer gravity mains that are allowing the II into the system. I know they've done some projects, but it's not being aggressively pursued. The fact that every time it rains, it compounds the problem with the Omar plant with excessive amount of water and sand going into the headworks. And it's not going to go away, it's only going to get worse. Those other gravity mains aren't holding in place. They're deteriorating and failing. And it should be our number one concern, because one, the cost to the utility customers is one part of it. Plus the roads are becoming undermined and sinkholes. I mean, there's just a litany of different things that this problem is causing. The pump stations are pumping a long time to get the excess water in there. So I should be right on, still on the top of our list to try to fix it a little bit more aggressively, a lot more aggressively than what they're doing.
And I'll get you, James, but Lindsay, ionized inflow and infiltration, the way it's being addressed is by lining pipes. And in fact, we are under a consent order again to get a certain amount of progress on that lining of pipes.
Not gonna diminish what Ralph just said, because that is very important, cost-wise, very important. At a neighborhood level, it's stormwater management.
I second that.
And that is what's hitting people all the time, every time we have a big rain. So I think we have to stay on top of that and keep pushing the department and the staff and the city to keep forward as much as we can and support them in their efforts because they're doing as best as they can.
How do we stay on top of the stormwater subject? I agree with you, the importance, but we just ask regularly for updates from the staff. Do
Well, and the city has reprioritized stormwater management and, they've expanded the neighborhoods where they're going to be introducing new systems. And they're finishing the first tranche. Omar, is it this year? We're gonna have everything on our first 6 or 7.
Not everything this year, but there is some others in 26 and 27.
But they're
on the
gonna be
first tranche.
starting.
Yeah,
They've been identified, the point is they've been identified.
they've been identified and we're either working on the design or the construction.
Right,
Yeah.
but then there's another group, the next group, we haven't heard what that group is yet.
We call it tranche 2.
Yeah,
And we can do a little presentation where we've been going through all the HOAs in the last 2 months,
yeah,
giving presentation. I don't know if they're going
yeah, they
to,
came to my neighborhood.
but we can do a presentation here for that,
Summary.
for the summary of that, and then you can understand. They haven't been prioritized yet, which neighborhood is gonna be first on the tranche 2, but they're all part of the program.
And it's my understanding that the city commission is going to do the prioritization. Is that correct? Yeah, okay, so.
Great.
I would like that to maybe be in our next agenda meeting, because I've got members of my Victoria Park neighborhood. We know we're gonna start construction soon. I personally need to know better what the solutions are as part of that engineering of that solution for stormwater. Because I'm getting grilled and I don't have answers.
So, I'm sorry. go ahead.
They just had the Fortify Fort Lauderdale Zoom on Monday. And Turpin River is in tranche 2.
It is in tranche 2?
It's disappointing.
Yeah, well, actually, we're trying to expedite. Tranche 2 is like, it wasn't even there before. So we only had like 6 or 7 neighborhoods in the beginning, phase 1. And so tranche 2 was added as a expediting method of getting all the neighborhoods done that are, prone to flooding.
That was a result of the 2 deluges that we had. That walked around.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify on the aspects of the stormwater problem. A lot of cases, like in Imperial Point, I'm not saying it's just throughout the entire city, but they have just holding tanks as opposed to exfiltration and positive drainage. The other problem is occurring, and we're getting some help from the gravity sewers from taking some of the groundwater in. But the groundwater levels are getting higher and as they continuously do in this century and will continue such. So what happens is on the exfiltration type systems where the water comes into the catch basin and there's pipe that's slotted and it's drainage rock around there and it exfiltrates out and goes down. The design is basically like 18 inches from where that exfiltration is down to the top of the medium high of the groundwater. Well, guess what? The groundwater is coming up and you don't have that clearance. So eventually what's going to happen is it's going to turn back to a holding tank. So you only have a positive type of drainage and you're going to have to implement pumping out as well, because it just doesn't have the hydraulic gradient. Which is a positive.
Pump to where, right?
Well, that's it. You have to either try to find a, canal, lake, or a dry retention area. Or the other possibility now, it seems to make sense, is to the EPA will allow to deep well inject as long as there's some kind of pollution control and goes down into saltwater intrusion area. And that's as much as I can say on that, just to give an idea on the seriousness of this.
And next, Martha, but incidentally on that webinar that I was on it as well, Lindsay, there was no mention of deep well injection.
No, it was,
What,
it was.
you agree?
Yes.
Martha?
That's very costly. Roosevelt, you were first.
No, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I think we all come in here with some ideas why we should, what we can cover under the board, right? But I kind of mentioned at the last meeting that maybe it would be good to see the ordinance, what the actual board does. To see what, if we would happen to be a board, to see what our responsibilities are. Like, we need to read this through. If we change the format of these meetings and we become not the task force, we become the board, we need to probably better understand what's the
Do
responsibility of
you
the
mean
boards.
the last resolution that authorized us for another 2 years? You mean that, or do you mean, are you
No, I
talking more
mean
generally
Generally,
as the Parks and Rec Board does X,
Correct.
Y, and Z? You want to see some sample
I-
of what the board?
I wanna see the ordinance, what the board in a city,
Establishes board.
correct, what the,
Oh,
so we know where we walking ourselves in, right?
yes.
So
Is there such a thing? An ordinance that allows the
There
commission to
it should be
establish
ordinance for
board?
the boards, how they establish in the city and.
I don't know.
It's
So-
how and why.
I think there was a attorney at the last meeting here on the call, and I kind of throw this up to him, maybe we can ask for some research.
So what you're looking for is the part of the city ordinances that enables them to set up boards.
Correct.
Right? So
And what is the responsibilities of the board and the,
well, the responsibilities of the board will be individual to each particular board.
I don't think, yes, correct, the topic itself, it's different, but the structure of the board, the members, how many years they serving, and who appoints the members. So I think that would be us, it would be good for us to know the rules of the actual board. So we
So
know
I
how
think
that should function.
Vicky,
Yes.
maybe what we're looking for is the section of the city ordinances that allows the city commission to set up boards, one thing. And I think the second thing would be a copy of the most current motion that activates us, so to speak.
Correct.
Because there was a motion at the time we would set up. I don't know if it's a motion or a resolution, maybe a reso, wouldn't it? Was it probably?
Yeah.
That set us up, and then they amended that, and then they amended it again, and we want the most current one of that, really, because that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing.
And I would add to that, a copy of the last board announcement, like the last board that was formed, whatever was announced by them, to use as a template.
Yeah, the youngest board in the city.
Yeah.
No idea.
Potential city redevelopment.
Well, we can, I'm conscious of, we don't want to make too many demands because there's a lot of research in this. But
can
I
do
guess we
another
just say the best, shouldn't be too hard to find the part of the ordinances that authorizes the commission to set up boards. And it shouldn't be too hard to find the part of current reso that under which we're supposed to operate. So that would be good to get at least. And what was the other thing that's if you don't ask Roosevelt, right? Something else in addition. Oh, the most current board that was set up, what does that say for that board? If possible.
You good?
Yeah.
Mine is very quick, just for clarification. You hear the word we, around the table, we really not talking about we. We're talking about the board, the committee, or whatever we're going to be called. That need to be continuous, not us.
Yeah. We're not talking about perpetuating us, we're talking about perpetuating the function that we think we feel.
Yes.
James?
So I just wanted to ask one of the questions. The reason we want to know that original ordinance that allows for the creation of boards is to see if there's certain guidelines or recommendations, like number of board members or years of term, you know, how you
That's
put a
correct.
term out or whatever that.
And
Do you
also,
think it's I guess the question is that standardized across boards in the city? And I don't think it is.
Now,
Yeah.
the number of committees is not standardized. The term is more or less standardized, 2 years appointment for a maximum of 3 years, total of 6, total after that you're gone. That's pretty much standard.
For all the boards.
For both committees, whatever.
But not boards, right? Because boards go on and on
Yeah.
unless they're
Board
explicitly
members,
the
board
people-
members, sorry.
board members,
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah.
well, also, I was concerned last meeting because every board is kind of advising to the particular department, like, let's say, Parks and Recreation, Development. And those departments are funded with the taxpayers' revenue, right? Like, they're not necessarily enterprise fund. So for us being, attached to the utilities, which is enterprise fund, that's not necessarily a public money, because that's the customer money, that's for the water and sewer rates. So there's a different budget because enterprise fund has a rate study. This is how much it's gonna cost us, and this is the water sewer bill versus other boards that they supported the departments by the budget that we are getting with our property taxes and everything. So it's a little bit different. So I just wanna be clear that this is not a publicly funded, department, because they kind of enterprise fund. So I wanna make sure that we can even able to establish a board next to the department that is enterprise fund, not versus the departments that are funded to the taxpayers.
So you're saying that because of the way the department is funded, that you may or may not be allowed to
Correct.
involve a board versus a committee.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about that, so I just wanna clarify that with the city attorney, or,
Yeah.
and if that's the case, maybe we can be attached to the department that it's not funded, that it's funded for the public procurement, so, I don't really, I wanna make sure that we can even have possibility of this scenario, because I don't wanna present something to the commissioners and we didn't do our research in our end, and we ask it to be a board, and maybe we can't be a board, or maybe there's some other legalities in that.
How do we?
I think that we can do some research, I can do some research on that.
We can do,
All public
The attorney.
yes, I mean, what normally happens is if we have a communication we want to make to the commission, and if there is some recommendation in there that is illegal or contrary to city's authority, then the city attorney would, write a comment or an additional memo that says this may be the recommendation of the ITF, but I have to tell you, you can't do recommendation B, something like that. We can try and find out anyway.
But I want to just remind us that this group, whatever we are called these days, is across the works of the city. It's parks and recs, it's sewer water, it's storm water, it's
Including enterprise funds.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
With
saying,
the
so
water
we go across
water
the
plant.
city and funding of everything, when they put us there, they said, now this is what we want you guys to do, and I also want to tell you, one, that this is about $4.6 billion worth of work we're talking about. And through the enterprise funds and anticipated revenue, we're looking at $1 billion. So you guys not only need to find the tasks, but you also need to find the money.
Again, you're right, but I just want to remind people, and some people are on here after this happened, but at some point, I want to say 4 years ago, we went to the commission with quite a wide scope of work, and I specifically remember them saying, well, this is so much, you're almost usurping our authority in a lot of these things. So I don't want what we're proposing to them scope to be seen as so wide ranging that we should be leaving most of this to us, kind of thing. I had a question of Greg, when you brought up about wanting to know more about stormwater. So we've had presentations like on the webinar of the progress and the plan of action for the 16 neighborhoods split into whatever it is. You're concerned about Victoria Park, right? So how do we get at information? We need to, because it's very specific to Victoria Park. How do we get at information that you might like to see about Victoria Park's drainage problem? What would you like to see?
I'd like to see what are the possible engineering solutions to repetitive flood areas or pockets of flooding in Victoria Park. Because that's what I have members of Victoria Park. When I tell them on the infrastructure board, invariably they go to, well, this is my problem in my street, right? And for instance, here's Northeast 5th and 7th and 8th Avenue, right? It's an area back behind Doc B's, right? It floods. If it barely rains, it floods.
So,
And I don't think we have an engineering solution there. I looked, I walked around, and I don't see any options.
so, when we do the HOA meetings with the 45 Fort Lauderdale, they actually have maps of the area where, and they ask the residents to put dots on the areas that flood. That will help them with the design, and they'll find a way how to drain it. Okay, that's the goal. If they had to put a pump station, they'll find a way. But these HOA meetings are very crucial because then they can see, they can meet with the residents and they can say, hey, in my house floods, so I don't know if they have gone to yours yet. I can't remember.
They should have, right? But they
And-
stopped. We no longer have a
But these
newsletter.
meetings are gonna be ongoing, so they're gonna have more of those. So as they go through the design, they will meet with the residents and they might find problems that they didn't know that were there, So that, because they go with some kind of historical data for flooding and all that. So, the resident input is very important.
Understood, right? And
But
so
what I'm
that's
struggling with, sorry to interrupt, but what I'm struggling with is we do get updates fairly frequently on the stormwater program and the funding and the tranches and so forth. And so we're getting updates on the whole program. And we had a presentation from Hazen Sawyer about different techniques in the generality, but we don't, and maybe we shouldn't, we don't really go into at the individual neighborhood level and say, well, you're proposing, exfiltration trench or something. Why wouldn't a pump station work better or something
Well,
like that?
every neighborhood is different, and that's why they go into every HOA of all these different areas to talk to the residents. And each design is gonna be different depending on,
understood.
like here at River Oaks, we had the pump station and all the water is going into the canal, right? Other areas won't have that. So there's different ways that they're looking at solutions.
What stage of the design, obviously you go there at the level where you're finding out the problems and so forth, but at what stage of design do you go back and say, this is what we're proposing. What
That's
would you
the problem.
characterize that design effort as?
So they have different meetings over the years. Because the design, it takes about a year and a half for each neighborhood. And they have meetings on HOAs where they show the progress. So in some of these neighborhoods like Victoria Park, they're not there yet.
Barry, everything that Omar just said is absolutely positively correct. But I lived in Victoria Park for 14 years. I'll get my car with you and drive around. I'll show you exactly where the puddles are every time it rains. So this nonsense of pushing pins in a map doesn't work. There's certain spots that are always wet,
Yeah.
always. Why doesn't the city know that?
In
And I'm not
theory,
bitching at
the way
anybody. This is-
Omar's saying it, they do know that because somebody has put a pin in where you're just talking
Well,
about.
the places that flooded when I first moved into Victoria Park 14 years ago, still flood.
But we haven't done
We
any,
didn't do any work there.
we haven't done any work there.
They know
So-
it's there. They
so-
should have
so-
done it.
You better ignore it. That's your point, right?
Not me, I'm high. Victoria Park Road that's the other problem. Problem is Victoria Park Road is 11 feet above sea level. What he's talking about, it's 5.
In some of the areas that flood, they might know about it, but they're just asking the residents, hey, just make sure that you point it out in case we miss it.
I've got a resident who says, okay, it floods, here's where it floods. And they're asking, what is in the plan to address this?
We don't have that.
And we don't have that yet.
Because we haven't gone that far in those
Okay.
designs.
But Omar, you didn't quite answer my question, and it really was, 20% design, 60% design, 80% design, whatever. At what stage of design do you go back to the neighborhood?
It's like a 30, 60, and 90. They're probably gonna go on the 30% design and have the next meeting with the HOAs and show them what the problem areas are.
So in theory, you go 3 times, well, you go more than that, you go
Right.
talk about the general.
You might do a
problems,
30%
and then you go
and
3
a
times
90%.
with
yeah.
the developing design, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Do you have a master plan in place for that area and it's being updated, or they just don't have a master plan yet?
They do have master plan, but the design is following the master plan, but there is, the master plan is a few years old.
Right, so
So
it's being
there's new
updated.
developments, there's new things, the flood, new areas, so they're looking at all that.
So here's how I think we get at this, is we're monitoring the whole stormwater program, we've been seeing that. But maybe when you have I don't know, 60% design for a neighborhood, you bring it to us by way of an example, whichever neighborhood it might be. And say, this is 60% design, this is what we're gonna show the neighborhood next week or something. So we can get an idea of exactly what you're showing people. And that might not be for 4 or 5 months, because you may have nothing ready, at that
Depending
stage.
on the neighborhood, because some of the neighborhoods, they might not start the design like 2-3 years from now.
No.
If they fall into, but the ones right now.
It has to be one that you're getting more complete with.
Right.
So we see what you show them.
So we're telling, this is an email chain that came from the citizen in Victoria Park and the city project manager. So we anticipate Victoria Park construction to start April to June. I mean, I would think the design's done if we're gonna start construction in April.
I think, when was that email sent?
November 8th.
That's probably more like September, October now.
Okay.
So they're not, I know that's been, the timeframe's been updated.
So what, by the way, they do work in Victoria Park, don't get me wrong. For example, they're doing the sidewalks now, replacing them.
Yeah, but that's not drainage.
It's not drainage. It's very topical though. There was a moment in time where they were pulling pipes and directionally drilling the water pipes all over the place.
Oh, well.
But the information flow to the people that live in the park,
Yeah.
that's really what's behind Greg's message. It's not that they're not working on stuff. It's.
All I'm saying is we have, what is it again, 16 neighborhoods in the 2 tranches.
It's a total of 17 on the.
17. And Victoria Park, for example, that Greg's bringing up, you're in tranche one.
Yes.
And you've had an email that more or less says the design is complete, is that right?
No, I had an email saying construction is gonna start in April, June. And I would assume design
This year.
of this year, right?
So the design
Next
should
month.
be, to say that, the design should be complete.
But they might have another meeting with your HOA in the next month or two, probably. I don't know, I don't have it memorized all the.
But remember I said, as an example of something that we do is to look at the staff presentations in general. So perhaps you could bring what you would show the neighborhood at this stage to not necessarily our next meeting, but one in the near future. So we get an idea of exactly what you show the neighborhood. Because
Right.
there's a disconnect between where you appear to be and what the neighborhood knows.
Right. And what they would do, they would take the existing infrastructure in the area and add on to it. You know, because a lot of those pipes can be reused, some of them had to be increased, you know, all that goes into the design.
Well, I understand. The engineering part is easier. What I can't come up with this part is what are you gonna do with the water? I don't see any place to
And
take
I'm not
it.
sure in Victoria Park what's their plan, but, you know.
Well, I don't think we need to like go into this one. I was just trying to get at, we know about the general program and how it's progressing, but there's still like, questions on, oh, okay, we're at 60%, but what's actually going to happen kind of thing. So, and the only way we can know about that is to be shown an actual example.
And they'll probably post the final design on the website too, I'm not sure. You haven't seen it because we're not there yet, but in the future, they might do that, and I can ask them to do that. You know,
Okay,
just a general map with all the existing plus the future
Existing
improvements.
plus the future improvements, right?
so I need to bring this back to the future of the route now. Is there any points anybody else wants to make on this? Because I got a general idea of where we're going.
It's just,
James?
yeah, what's our next steps, Peter? Let's get some next steps and let's do it.
And also, one of the points that it's in my head right now, obviously, I think we all should be thinking about what we wanted to present. Maybe we can ask for a one-on-one meeting with each commissioner individually and do short presentation here in this room every Monday, the same presentation before we even bring the resolution on the table. Or we can do one presentation, but I'm thinking about a couple of slides. I just don't wanna give the recommendation resolution to establish the board without an opportunity for them to find out, what we're doing, what we're proposing to do for the next,
Well, I don't
years.
think we would present them with, this is the resolution to establish a board. I think we would do, starting out with that paragraph that Marilyn had,
Mhm.
and then elaborate on that. And then.
But how you want, I'm thinking we have two ways. We can either do the one presentation at
Yeah,
the commissioners meeting to all commissioners, or we can have each commissioner separate, meet with us as a board and do that
we
presentation.
could do that we could do it each to our own, if you like, not losing sight of the fact they're all
Right.
extremely busy, and then it may seem almost like we're duplicating. We've been and talked to each
Yeah,
one
right.
individually and blah, blah.
I don't think that they would accept that either. I think just, it's like do it so they all hear it, do all the same thing all at one time. I think that's the better way.
Okay,
So my suggestion is that we use propose a community Marilyn's paragraph. Well, we appreciate the continuation of the infrastructure, so giving us the opportunity to discuss the future role of the task force. So we request a meeting, and then I will do this. I think it's reasonably simple. For next time, I will add to that. At present, we think we are undertaking the following activities, which we think are important to continue. And those activities what I read out earlier, which is the monitoring of the consent orders, blah, blah, blah. Somebody brought up the water plant, I'll add that in there, and I've got the stormwater, plan to add in there. And, I will bring that to the next meeting together, hopefully, with, what you were suggesting, Martha, which was the part of the city ordinances that allow the city commission to establish a board, and our resolution that establishes us, and if possible, the last time that the commission established the board, to take the work that associates with that. That may be a big ask, but so, you know, I'm not intending that we solve this today and finalize the wording of what goes to the commission. I'm hoping that this comes back with a little bit more meat on it. So, how's that sound? And maybe, Omar, you can think about giving us a presentation on Victoria Park individual drainage plan, just so we get a better understanding of how the program translates into things in the ground.
So you want a presentation on the next meeting just about Victoria Park?
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the next meeting, because I'll say this, I'm conscious, you know, unfortunately, Public Works Department lost its permanent director, and I've been on the other end of working for committees, and I don't want to make a ton of work. I know you're all very busy, so if you know, I'm not asking you to drop everything and do this, but in the next 2 or 3 meetings, if you can bring us something like that, it will be good.
On the next, so you want it on the next?
The next meeting?
Next meeting.
Well, we probably will have
I'm
to
too sensitive to
come up
start.
with something, but you know, it can be done for the next meeting. I don't think that should be an issue.
Within that, include where the water will go if it's just put into the waterways, if there's a hot king tide, rain,
For Victoria Park,
and it's just being like, where's the water going
for Victoria Park.
everywhere,
Well, that's the thing, that in different areas, there's different methods
right?
of how you can dispose of the water. So if I say I'm gonna put a pump station in Victoria Park, that might not be the same in your neighborhood. So every neighborhood is a little different. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to figure out, what I can operate. I mean, we can do a overall 45 again, which we've done a lot lately, but we can just concentrate one neighborhood, and then future neighborhoods later, when they get close to the design, we can do the same thing. But like I said, every neighborhood is a little different.
The way I understood it, Mark, was that
One water.
you were at a point where you basically did have something that you would ordinarily take to the neighborhood, and specifically in this case, Victoria Park, right? So what we're really asking is, what would you go out and show Victoria Park at 60% or whatever stage you want to characterize the
Yeah,
design?
we can. I don't know where they are in the design right now, but we can put some together for the next meeting. I don't, you know,
Whatever you already said, just review it again.
Martha?
Thank you. So I kind of wanna defend staff here, and I know we are getting frustrated with the things that may not work, but I do see the necessity of having public input in the beginning stage when we working on a design, because we cannot design as engineers if we don't know there is a problem. So I know Gerald or Greg, you guys have said, you know, there's always still water there and everybody knows about this, but that's not the engineers. That's what the public input is necessary at that beginning, and that's why we have a 45. That's why we need those pins, like Omar said. I have to support that, because this is for residents to let us know, we have a problem here, my property is flooded every year for last 14 years. That's exactly what we wanna hear. And then we going to the design. Let the engineers figure this out. They carry a license, they have experience, they work, they can send people to the moon back and forth. They can figure this out where the water is going. There is no need to bring public input when we have a 60% design and somebody is gonna be asking, well, why don't we do the deep injection well? Yes, we can, everything is possible, there's money involved. So we can't be just having, discussing this again when we have a 60%, 30%. Let the engineers design, trust, they know what they're doing, and then construct it. And then when it's not working, then we're gonna hear you again. You guys spend all this money,
That's the
we're
problem.
still flooding. And, but that's fine, but that's, you know, and I'm not saying that they may be working. They may be working perfectly, everything is gonna be beautiful, dry, and Victoria Parks is gonna be happy, excellent, but we're not gonna know. And there would be a blame on the engineers that they designed wrongly, but having a
Well, that's too
public
late though,
input,
isn't it?
Let me jump in here.
this is.
When I said deep injection well, I didn't mean deep injection well.
Yes.
I meant an injection well that
The
went down.
aquifer
about
recharge,
40, 60
absolutely, air system, huge compliance.
It doesn't go to the boulder zone.
There is,
4,000 feet down.
the compliance is stricter, just like a drinking water. This is a huge cost associated with this. You know, the monitoring what is going through that well, it's really complicated and it's a lot of cost. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but I just wanna say the staff is doing their job, and our job as a board is to make sure that we provide a format for the public so they can provide the input. And they could go on the website, they go to those meetings, there was at 5 p.m. I'm sure everybody was just finishing their work. I think the timing was off, you know, everybody's driving.
The recent webinar thing, you mean? Is that what you
Correct.
mean?
Everybody's driving home, picking up the kids, and over Saturday we have some webinar. Maybe 7 p.m. would be better when we're already home and after dinner, because, you know, I'm hungry and angry. But I think the problem is, you know, the public input is very important. So you let us know we have a problem, and then we carry this on to the engineer, and we find the money, we get the budget, we get it done. And if you done wrong, you guys let us know again. So.
Yeah, but
But
that
we-
worries me, that last part. I agree with everything you're
But it
saying,
exists
but it's like,
because-
build it, and if it's not working, I will come back and tear it up and build it
but
again.
That's how it works, you know, you obviously, there's a license, somebody's signing and sealing those drawings. There's a lot of work involved. It's
Believe
gonna be
me, I
designed.
know exactly what you're saying. I have a foot in both camps. And
Yeah.
all I'm saying is, I have seen all the presentations about the program and how it's progressing, et cetera, et cetera. But to be honest, I've never actually seen that taken down to the individual neighborhood level. And all I'm saying is, let's see an example so we know what's shown to people, because maybe we can make some suggestions. Well, next time, show them more of this or more of that, so there's a better understanding. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
we're
saying.
actually
Let's
going
see
to
an
make-
example.
So can I make a suggestion then, Peter? So we have a lot of interest in Victoria Park. So Omar, if you could bring whatever is most up to date about Victoria Park, I think that would be great. And then maybe bring something of a neighborhood that's complete. Like, did they finish Edgewood? Is
The River Oaks, yeah.
River Oaks done? So show what those has happened there, just one, we don't see them all. So, you know, what happened, the design, these are the things that were chosen to eliminate the problem. This is what we've put in, and this is how it works now, that.
So on River Oaks and Edgewood, we really haven't had a bad storm since they've been completed to show any, we haven't had any bad storm. Like the pumping station.
We don't want that.
No, I know, but we wanna have a bad storm and show, hey, see, it works, right?
Yeah, of course.
But like the pump station at River Oaks, it didn't get commissioned until November. So, and we haven't had a good rain to show, okay.
December.
So that would be a little bit, I mean, right now, we don't have good data for that.
What
But
about Melrose Park, how's that?
Melrose Parks, we haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Melrose Park, Melrose Manors, none of that.
we haven't either, yeah.
No, we haven't touched none of
They're in
it.
charge.
I
Lindsay?
wanna change the subject quickly,
Sure.
maybe, ultimately. The one-way Andrews, has that been discussed? Has anyone?
No, we don't typically get
No.
into
Transportation.
the
Traffic.
traffic
That's
plans.
traffic.
And infrastructure?
Well, it
No?
is, but this is where it becomes difficult and, you know,
I'm
pretty
learning, so
much,
just-
you could say
That's all right.
75% of what the city commission does and touches is infrastructure or transit. So, you know, and this is, again, I'm conscious that we don't want to tread on the toes of the city commission. So we generally don't get involved in things like that. Sorry.
So that's part of the transportation and mobilities department. They're involved with that. They also look at where new sidewalks go. So sidewalks is something that we discuss in this group.
Okay.
Public Works maintains sidewalks after they've been built. Transportation mobility looks at where new sidewalks go in. So sidewalks is something that has been discussed in this group, but not the streets.
Bridges.
Bridges, yeah, we
Bridges.
have discussed bridges, but yeah.
And tunnels.
Peter, just to make a note, in the website in the 45, there is a survey in there that you can go and download it, and you can actually say Victoria Park on this street, you can put the red dot in there, and you can still do it today. So that will go back to Hazen and Sawyer, but if you go under 45 Fort Lauderdale, there is a section there where you can actually click on it and you can fill it up. You don't have to put your name. You can if you want, but all that detail can go in there. So, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was curious, what's the success of that data collection been, given our experience here with lacking public input on things that we asked for?
Well, I've been to some of those HOA meetings, and there is a lot of people that go to those, you know? Maryland, where Maryland lives,
Mm-hmm.
Riverdale.
there are probably about 100 people in that one. So, and that's a small area.
Yeah,
So-
well, everybody's got more concerned over it over
Yeah.
recent years for obvious reasons,
Right.
which is why, you
I
know,
care more about flooding than City
Yeah.
Hall.
And you know, we expect that some resident might tell the neighbor, hey, we went to this meeting, you know, you can go to the website. I mean, that's what we kind of preach on these meetings. So the word can be spread and people are aware of what's going on.
well, to bring it back, I think we have a strategy for moving forward to the next meeting with the future of the ITF.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring something, building on the paragraph and see what we get from staff, that we can look at to see if that helps us finalize things. Jerry?
On the fortlauderdale.gov website, there's a whole code of ordinances for the city. And under the administration tab, you find boards, commissions,
Okay.
and there's a whole set of definition about what's a board.
What's a board?
What's an advisory board, what's a board,
And the different.
and what's a committee, what's the difference?
Yeah, that would be useful. Yeah,
It's a homework for us.
yeah, homework. All right, anything else on that general subject of the future of the ITF? Because obviously, in a slightly longer term, that's important because, you know, it may be all over in a year's time.
So Peter, I'm understanding that you will come back with like a draft something next.
Yes, yeah, plus some information from the staff. And we may have on the next meeting, a presentation about an individual drainage plan. That's been translated from the problems into the design.
Okay,
Roosevelt?
Just for the new member, when we are talking about something that you don't understand, ask questions, please. We don't want you to go along without knowing. So if you don't understand, ask questions. Everybody here except me is friendly. And I just want you to, you're not gonna catch up, but try to leave the meeting with a clear meaning of what we talked about that particular day. And so that you don't have to catch up on that anymore. It's a lot been going on in the last 6 or 7 years. But if you have question 9, I know he's getting ready to move to the next subject. Before we move, you got any questions of anybody?
I have one question, and I sat here through the whole meeting, so apologies if I didn't interpret correctly, but from what you said with the last meeting you were at, and proving whether this is going to be a board, committee, whatever it's going to be, is there an issue with it? Do they not want this around anymore?
No,
Because
it's,
in your minutes, it says that it was put in place in 2017 to,
it's just that they just keep renewing it either for a year or 2 years. And the feeling was and is that it's time that we met with the commission and said, you know, do you realize this is all going to sunset? And do you want to consider doing more when it is about to, than just re-upping it for another 2 years, for example,
understood.
by creating a board? So we felt like we needed to meet with the commission. So it's not like, you know, spending a lot of time talking.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we can move on to water and sewer breaks report. What do you got, any comments on that?
There is only two breaks for water, no sewer breaks.
Really?
So,
That's good.
and I don't know the extent of those breaks, what if it's just an old pipe or somebody hit it or it doesn't have any. But they seem to be smaller pipes, so I don't think it's like main, I mean, it's a 12-inch and an 8-inch. So it's probably, I can read that.
Yeah. Well,
It's an yeah, I mean,
Water.
it could be just a break or somebody might hit it up.
One looks like it's right behind Moran.
There is one in Northwest 65th Street in 12th Avenue, and the other one is in 47th Street. It's here on the map, like you know, see where the map is? Yeah, there is the two different locations.
Where's that?
all right,
Oh, yeah.
so moving on, we get to general discussion and comments, committee members. I have something I wanted to bring up and I would like the minutes, or maybe I'm able to make a motion at this point. I would like some expression of our appreciation as a group for all the work that Marilyn did. So is that just, are we just going to minute that, or Roosevelt, do you think I should make a motion that we, you know, we would like to thank Marilyn and commend her for all her work on this group over many years? A recommendation or a proposal?
Mr. Chair, I move that as a task force, that we show our appreciation for all the work that was done by our former chair, Marilyn Amano.
For a second for that?
Yeah, I'll second. I've been second all during this meeting.
Greg?
I'd like
Sorry.
to add to that, I'll be willing to bring in a thank you, or appreciation card for us all to sign.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, next time. Comment on the motion.
Yeah, open to discussion, right?
Yes, on the motion.
Well,
Which is-
he amended the motion, friendly, and I'm going to accept the friend.
So that is amended by, what's the word, proving, requiring a card for us to sign next time.
And
Okay.
that was my question, like, obviously a letter from the board or maybe a card, but do we wanna, we just send that or maybe invite, past chair to the commissioners meeting, maybe when we extending or? No?
No.
We're not doing that.
Okay. So,
No, unfortunately, you know, we serve at the commission's direction.
okay, so we
And
could probably type
We
some.
come and go, and that's another reason why I agree with you and Jim, that if three of us are, term limited out, well, they are being,
Yes. So do we have an official letter from the board, from the task force maybe, or just a thank you card?
I think the card's sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, card's good. Make sure it's a hallmark, okay?
At February 18th,
I'll chip in if I need to.
when she was officially off.
Yeah.
I sent her an email and I tried to illuminate the various things that she was doing and appreciate her and everything. So maybe I'll bring that, if I'm still on the board next month, I'll bring it.
Well, we have, I want to concentrate, we have the motion, which was seconded, it was amended, and that was seconded and as well, approved and seconded. So can we vote in favor of Roosevelt's motion with respect to Marion, please? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
And that,
So, committee members, anything anybody else wants to bring
before we
up?
move on from
Yeah.
that, you know, the most likely, Maryland will get a letter from the mayor.
Yes,
And sometime even give you a little plaque. Thanking you for your services on this committee or that committee. So she'll probably get that as well.
Okay.
But it's important that we show our appreciation.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
so many years
Yeah.
that she tolerated us. I mean,
Yes,
she
you're right.
worked
You're right.
hard, no question about it. James?
Moving on to other committee members. So I was just wanting to know if possible, Omar, if there's any kind of an update that you could provide to us regarding the leadership of the Department of Public Works.
I mean, there's Abby still the interim. I believe that when the new city manager starts, I think it's April 1st, right? Second. Then she might make a decision of that, but that's not clear yet.
So
That's what I heard.
currently there's an acting director.
It's an interim.
Interim,
Interim, it's Abby.
okay.
Yeah.
And
He was assistant director for utilities. Omar
Right.
is the engineering. So
okay,
he's with the department minimum years.
yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think he's been
Should
in
come
any of
to
these
these
meetings.
meetings.
No,
He has, probably in the past,
been to a
yeah.
couple.
Yeah, he's been in a couple, yeah.
Oh, he, okay,
But
sorry.
that's the plan until I think they're gonna advertise the position, that's my understanding. It can be advertised for outside and, whoever wants to apply from inside.
But it's your understanding, your belief that the new city manager will take over that?
I believe so.
yeah, I'm sure that would be the case.
And Department of Public Works Director reports to the city manager, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, don't they report?
Well,
through an
actually,
assistant
they
city
report
manager?
to, we have 4 assistant city managers now. So Alan reported to Anthony Fajardo. And Anthony reports to
Okay,
Susan.
Yeah.
I don't know how if that's gonna be the same setup with the new city manager
right,
comes.
she may change
She might
things, yeah,
change.
okay, thank you for that.
Any other committee member comments?
Yes, I have a question on Omar, on the wastewater treatment plant. Upgrades, there was a discussion at a recent meeting regards the odor control at the wastewater plant. And I'm not sure if that was awarded or not, and what is the status. The discussion came up that there was received one bid from ACOM. And the procurement director seems to not see it as a competitive, which is true, probably, to have a one bid. So I just wonder what was done in that direction.
I believe it is on the agenda for tomorrow, right?
I can double check.
Yeah, can you check? And it's supposed to be approved by commission tomorrow.
Is it a
That's my
recommendation for
understanding.
approval, or if it's
It is a commissioner, yeah, take a look and see.
Is it on the consent order?
No, this is for odor control on the wastewater treatment plant.
No. Like, if we do consent purchase and.
Yeah, it's a consent.
there was a solicitation, there was RFP going for the upgrades for the odor control, and city received one proposal from ACOM. So there was discussion, but the discussion was off the topic. There wasn't an agenda at the previous meeting. But the commissioners were discussing because the interim director was present, and they kind of escalated to the complaints from the residents, and that's the district court. They complain about the severe odor over there. When you go to Publix on the 17th Street, you could smell. So
Greg?
Could I put, as a possible future item for discussion, a review of the new water meter, the electronic water meter program rollout and how that's,
I mean, Ingrid gave us the last month, an update. Were you here?
I was here,
Yeah.
but it was,
But it says it's probably still gonna be, when do you want that update?
no, when it's time, I
Oh,
just,
okay.
you know,
Okay.
I just, it's something, she just touched on and said, hey, we
Well,
know
right
we're
now,
working
they're
on
on the
it.
R and D part of it, where they just install like 50 meters, I believe.
Yeah, they only in the pilot test, so they don't know, they test
15,
meters per city,
55.
they don't have a decision yet.
Okay.
Which one they select.
Yeah, I think it's a bit premature. You
Okay.
know, I'm interested when quite a few have been rolled out as to how they relate to the previous kind of readings that people used to get.
Did you find it, Vicky?
I can elaborate on the older water meters. Don't read accurately, they actually read less water as a function of time. So I'm sure that the utility customers are going to be scratching their head with the new meter coming in, and they're getting more flows, more consumption than what was previously recorded, if they're following it that closely, but that's kind of one problem that's associated, so the people that know want to keep their old meters forever if they can get away, because it does not read accurately. So.
Well, that's not fair. My meter is accurate and everybody.
Plus or minus 1,000 gallons. Right, Marta, you had something to say?
Yes, also Omar is busy, but I would like to know the update for the force main that it's by the convention center.
The one
Like,
to take the overflow from Lowmire to
Yes.
the injection well.
there was the upgrade for the force main that
Yeah.
for the injection, so I don't know that.
Maybe I have to get it quickly.
And that's under construction, so because the convention center looks really good. Looks like they did fantastic work for a city. It's an amazing one. Convention center.
Yes,
Looks
it's a hotel.
a hotel, there is a huge building, and I know that there was a enforcement going underground.
Well, we did get some sort of an update last time. I can't remember what was said now. You
There was an
remember?
update on the, have an update on the different phases, like phase 8 for the water, from the well field down to
Yeah.
5-ash. There is something on there that shows different phases, the work that's being done, and that they're on schedule, what they indicated. So
Marta's talking about the GTL line, right, going to the well field in
Redundant
the-
line
in
for
the
the
pond.
EPR to injection
Yeah.
wells, yeah.
All I remember was that Ingrid gave us an update and there's a problem with the generator or generators or something. I do remember that. But anyway,
There was
are you content to let that wait till next time?
Yes, but because it's on the page 6, there was already asked by chair, previous chair, she asked for the updates on
Oh.
the project regarding redundant lines.
But what I alluded to had, that and the other construction projects that are going, as well.
So, Omar, sorry, I'm gonna shout down to you.
Martha, I don't see it on the agenda for tomorrow.
Okay,
We'll get an update in an email.
that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not recommending approval or disapproval. I just know that there was a
Yeah.
public comment the last meeting.
the 18th.
And there was some conversation that took a 15-minute plus with the commissioners. People are concerned
Right.
that there is no plan, which I know the city advertised, but it's hard to get.
Are there any public comments? No, I'm hearing none, then the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
You're
We get
really
told, we get told that every time.